Today is Friday, June 28th. We'll bring you the top takeaways from the first presidential debate of the 2024 election season. Also, a rare case in which law enforcement officials are being held accountable for a school shooting. And a controversial decision to bring the Bible into public schools. Plus, what the CDC is saying about the next round of COVID-19 vaccines. How a court decision could reshape how fans watch the country's most popular sport. And a father-son duo making history in the NBA. Those stories and even more news to know in today's episode. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. For the first time in 4 years, President Biden and former President Trump met face-to-face, going head-to-head on a CNN debate stage in the battleground state of Georgia. They argued over a lot of issues like the economy, abortion, immigration, and foreign policy. But in the aftermath, most of the conversations were about performance, mostly President Biden's. There were times when he stumbled over his words and was unclear in his statements. He also spoke quietly with a hoarse voice. As for Trump, he appeared to be more disciplined at this debate than he was back in 2020, when he was often criticized for interrupting Biden. This time, Trump did not have that issue, perhaps in part because CNN muted each candidate's mic when it was the other's turn to talk. Many political analysts also pointed out how the moderators opted against doing any kind of real-time fact-checking during the debate. Instead, CNN brought in a fact-checker after the debate was over, who said he counted at least 30 false claims from Trump and at least 9 from Biden. Another big takeaway from the night, things did get personal, with both Biden and Trump calling the other the worst president ever. Notably, the candidates did not shake hands before or after the debate. Afterwards, former President Trump posted a compilation video of Biden tripping and falling and told people to ask themselves whether they really thought Biden would last 4 more years. As for President Biden, he said he thought he did well, but noted that he had a sore throat and that, quote, it's hard to debate a liar. Biden plans to hold a rally in North Carolina today, while Trump attends a rally in Virginia. We'll talk more about this historic debate with political strategists in our special edition Saturday episode tomorrow. The U.S. Supreme Court issued more highly anticipated rulings this week. For example, it blocked a controversial settlement over the opioid epidemic. It was proposed as part of a bankruptcy plan from Purdue Pharma, the maker of the highly addictive painkiller OxyContin. That settlement would have provided billions of dollars to help address the opioid crisis. But in exchange, it would have protected the family that owns the company from future lawsuits. Well, in a 5-4 ruling, the justices threw it out because of a technical question on bankruptcy law. Basically, they said the law does not allow a court to shield the family. So now states and victims that have been suing Purdue Pharma will restart negotiations. The ruling could also impact major settlements in other cases approved through bankruptcy courts. Another 5-4 decision we want to tell you about. The High Court blocked the EPA's so-called Good Neighbor air pollution plan. The plan was meant to restrict ozone pollution from power plants and other industrial sources in upwind states, since they could worsen pollution in downwind states. And the EPA says it could make a big difference for public health. But steel and fossil fuel industries, along with a handful of Republican-led states, challenged those rules, calling them costly and ineffective. And they say the EPA overstepped its authority by issuing the rule in the first place. Well, now the Supreme Court has put the rules on hold while legal challenges continue. For the first time, authorities are facing criminal charges for their response to one of the deadliest school shootings in American history. We're talking about the tragedy that happened 2 years ago at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. 19 children and 2 teachers died, and law enforcement has been widely criticized for their slow response. Well, now the former school's police chief, Pete Arredondo, and former officer Adrian Gonzalez have been indicted by a grand jury. Arredondo was the on-site commander during the attack, and Gonzalez was one of the first officers to enter the building after the shooting began. Both Arredondo and Gonzalez now face multiple counts of felony child endangerment and abandonment. So far, no comment from either of them or their lawyers, but some officials are calling for even more authorities to be held accountable. Public schools in Oklahoma are now required to teach students about the Bible and the 10 Commandments. The state's top education official sent the order out to school districts yesterday and said it needs to go into effect immediately. He says it's necessary for students in 5th through 12th grade to get a biblical education to understand the core values and historical context of our country. But the directive has brought in criticism from civil rights groups and supporters of the separation of church and state. Some call it an abuse of power and a violation of the U.S. Constitution. Even the Oklahoma Education Association came out against this decision, saying it should be up to school districts, not the state superintendent, to choose which books are available in their classrooms. The Oklahoma State Superintendent is just the latest official to blend religion with public education. Just last week, Louisiana's governor signed a law that says the 10 Commandments have to be displayed in all public school classrooms. That law is being challenged in court. Well, this weekend should bring a couple of good opportunities to look up at the sky. First up, Americans could see a so-called Planetary Parade before sunrise tomorrow morning. NASA says Jupiter, Uranus, Mars, Neptune, Saturn, and the Moon will all align in the sky. To see the lineup, experts do suggest using a backyard telescope or binoculars. Apps like Skyview can also turn your phone into a tool to help you identify each planet in the dark sky. Next, an asteroid about the size of the Eiffel Tower will fly by Earth. Don't worry, scientists say there's no chance of it actually impacting anyone, but you should be able to see it if your skies are cloud-free, and again, if you have a telescope or some good binoculars. Your best chance at catching a glimpse will be around 9:50 Eastern tomorrow morning. We have much more news for you still ahead, but first, this episode is brought to you by SKIMS. So everyone knows that finding the perfect t-shirt can be a challenge. I've always had problems, whether it was with fit or quality. But after I loved my Fits Everybody long sleeve options from SKIMS, I wanted to get a t-shirt version, and SKIMS did not disappoint. I got the Fits Everybody t-shirt in the onyx color, and it's my new go-to. In fact, I also got the cotton jersey t-shirt in marble. I love throwing either of these on with jeans for an instant, easy, yet stylish outfit. And I really appreciate that I can dress these tees up or down, so I really can wear them anytime, during the day or in the evening. And because I'm constantly wearing these tees, I've washed them a million times, and I'm really impressed that they've held their shape. Plus, they're both super comfortable, the material is really soft and smooth, and it's flattering. So go shop the SKIMS T-Shirt Shop at skims.com. Now available in sizes extra, extra small to 4X. If you haven't yet, be sure to let them know I sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select my show in the drop-down menu that follows. Now back to the news. At the CDC yesterday, infectious disease experts unanimously recommended the next batch of COVID-19 vaccines for all Americans 6 months and older. And later in the day, the CDC director signed off. Most people do have immunity at this point from repeat infections or vaccines or both, but that immunity is waning. And the CDC says the vaccines coming out this fall should better protect Americans against the variants circulating now. The recommendation comes as the U.S. is seeing a new summer wave of COVID-19 cases in at least 39 states. The increase is being driven by new variants, plus more people spending time indoors to avoid extreme heat, and a busy summer travel season. All that said, hospitalizations and deaths are still low as compared to other waves of the virus. Expect to hear more about the new vaccines as they're released, likely in August and September. The latest census report shows the Latino population booming in the U.S., and that growth seems to be helping the overall population, since otherwise baby boomers are growing older and the birth rate is declining, especially for non-Hispanic white Americans. But birth rates are still high for Latinos. In fact, babies born were the most significant factor in Latino population growth. International migration also accounted for about a third of the increase. Now, overall, Hispanics make up almost a fifth of the U.S. population, making it the second largest group after non-Hispanic white Americans. The NFL lost a long-standing legal battle this week that cuts right into the heart of its media strategy. The case centered around NFL Sunday Ticket that lets fans watch out-of-market games for roughly $300 a year. Well, a federal jury in Los Angeles ruled the NFL artificially inflated the price. And with that, the league was ordered to pay more than $4.6 billion to millions of subscribers, plus $96 million to thousands of bars and restaurants that subscribe to the service. And both amounts could be tripled because of antitrust laws. But the NFL already says it's going to appeal. It argues that Sunday Ticket is a premium service, so it should be exempt from the typical broadcasting antitrust laws. It says what is covered is the more than 90% of NFL games that are shown on free over-the-air TV in the markets of the teams playing the games, as well as some of the most popular games that are shown in primetime on national networks. But those who sued argued the NFL did violate antitrust laws since it didn't give customers many choices for those out-of-market games. And they pointed out how the league only goes through a single distributor, which for years was DirecTV. Generally, they say they've been charged more than what the service is worth. Nothing is changing immediately, though, since the NFL is appealing, and that process could take months, if not years. So, to be continued. The Los Angeles Lakers made a historic decision with its 55th draft pick. They chose Bronny James. In case that name doesn't sound familiar, he's a former freshman at USC and perhaps most notably, the son of all-time leading NBA scorer LeBron James. This is a dream come true for LeBron, who has said one of his final goals before retirement was to play in the NBA with his son. Now, if LeBron opts into the final year of his Lakers contract and Bronny takes the NBA court in the fall, they'll become the first father-son duo to not only play on the same team, but also to play in the league at the same time. After Bronny was drafted, LeBron posted a picture of him with his son when they were younger, with just a one-word caption: legacy. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, thanks to our sponsor, Green Chef. It's that time of year that we get especially active, and in order to keep up with everything we want to do, I want to feel healthy with food that nourishes and satisfies. Well, Green Chef contributes to a healthy lifestyle with easy and delicious recipes and ingredients. In fact, Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. Each box is packed with food you can feel good about, like whole fruits and veggies, plus lean protein and whole grain options, depending on your preferences. Not only is it healthy with fresh, seasonal organic produce and convenient with easy-to-follow recipes and pre-measured and prepped ingredients delivered right to your door, but also you get these really tasty, high-quality meals for your family. You'll be serving up restaurant-worthy meals in no time, and you will probably even impress yourself. I mean, if I can make pork fillet with warm mushroom kale salad, apricot rice, pesto, and Parmesan, you can too. And can I just say, my kiddo ate kale because that meal was so good. FYI, Green Chef is owned by HelloFresh, and I actually love switching between the brands for even more variety. So go to greenchef.com/newsworthy50 and use code newsworthy50 to get 50% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Again, you can go to greenchef.com/newsworthy50 and use that code newsworthy50 to get 50% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Now back to Feel Good Friday. A Louisiana teenager created an app for other teens that could help them overcome feelings of anxiety, loneliness, sadness, and more. It's called Saplings. It includes everything from journal prompts to meditations to suggestions for what to do about specific feelings. Now, Vaishnavi Kumbala has partnered with more than 30 schools to make her app more available for teens across the country. Plus, she says thousands of people in 13 other countries have used Saplings too. Vaishnavi also helped draft a Louisiana bill that expands teen mental health support in schools. And while she works to reach even more teens, she also wants to inspire others to notice what needs to improve in their communities and take action in their own way. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with our special edition Saturday episode to bring you expert analysis of last night's historic presidential debate. Then we'll be back on Monday with the news you need to know to start the week. For now, thank you so much for listening and have a great weekend.